Hi, I'm Ryan, and I created Niched. We all are seeking things that are real and true, and things that we can interact with, and passions, and people that have similar ideas to us, and people that push back, and people who challenge us. But we don't always get that. Things should align in ways where we're able to customize our experience and our environment in an ethical way that allows us to have the most enjoyment we can out of life with those things that we are most passionate about. We all want relationships with people, human beings. We all want to have privacy and the ability to make decisions, the autonomy to be able to decide what to do in life. And that's kind of the key. We want to do things in life. But too often we're consuming, and there's not a great way to get out of the traps that are set for us in technology. So what do? How do we change it? How do we fix things? Do you ever feel like you're just scrolling for hours and you never get to see anything that you're interested in, and nothing of yours gets seen either, and you never really get to see anything that you want, and it just seems like there's nothing out there? So you continue scrolling in the hope that you find what you're looking for, but in reality, you're being led down a path. You're not really connecting. It's not something that is beneficial, because you sit there for hours, and we all feel this guilt after the fact of, wasting all this time that could have been spent doing other things that probably would have given us the dopamine hit that we were looking for. So instead of doing things, we're consuming things. Instead of interacting with other human beings, we're kind of just sitting there by ourselves alone, not doing anything really. I know I relate to that. And everything online is kind of designed to get us in those loops. They're waiting for us. And by they, I mean, programs are waiting for us to log in, to hop on, and to keep us engaged. Some of it is engaging us with things that we're interested in, but I think a large portion of it seems to be to engage us with things that we're not interested in hopes that we continue to stay on looking and searching and, hoping to find that thing that we were looking for. So Niched is completely different. I kind of flipped the idea on its head. I want on Niched for us to be connecting on a human level first. So I want to get you connected to that thing that you're looking for, that gets you excited about the things that you're passionate about, so that you can then go out into the real world and do those things instead of just hoping to consume them at some point in time during that 3-hour doom scroll that you just went through. Maybe you're on one right now. Maybe you came across this video and you're listening to me and you've just been doom scrolling for hours and you realize that it's 2 in the morning and you've been sitting there since 10 p.m. You really need to go to bed and rest. But Niched is focusing on the individual, putting you into the driver's seat so that you have control of your online environment through customizations and filters and the ability to choose what comes across your feed. It's always unsettling when you feel like someone's watching you, when you feel like that you can't do exactly what you want to do, that your privacy has been violated. I'm out here in the woods by myself, and there's been a couple of times where I've kind of turned around and looked to see if something was there, even if it's an animal or a deer or something along those lines. Most of the time, those feelings aren't really founded, but online in digital spaces, that's the opposite of true. We're constantly being watched in those situations, and they assume that we're okay giving up that autonomy, that ability to have privacy. But every action, every click, every lingering moment on a post is tracked somewhere along the way, so that algorithms can allow us, so that algorithms have the ability to better serve us information. What does that mean? Online, we don't have autonomy. We don't have the ability to say, hey, I don't really want to be watched right now. Hey, I'd rather you not track what I'm doing, especially when we're logged into these big platforms. And a lot of them require you to log in now to see the content that your friend sent you that they thought you'd be interested in or you thought you'd find funny or something along those lines. So they kind of force you down this path. Hey, you have to be logged in to be able to see this information. You have to allow us to track what you're doing so that we can better serve you. But in reality, it's a way for them to better serve themselves and to better serve their real customer, which is advertisers that actually pay them lots of money to put their information in front of you. People who sponsor posts and sponsor their content so that it can get in front of you. A lot of the internet is pay to play. And that's not a great thing when it comes at the cost of us having to give up our freedom and our ability to choose. Niched is completely different. We don't have algorithms. We are focused 100% on your privacy. I don't want to track your data. I don't want to know what you're doing. In its place, we've put niches so that advertisers can target niches instead of individuals. And we've put the power in your hands so that you have the ability to turn things on, turn things off, hit a delete button, and your account is truly gone forever. I want you to be able to choose and decide. And you might be thinking, Ryan, I don't mind all of that. It doesn't bother me. I don't notice it. And that's cool. That's your decision. But the point is, you made that decision. For everybody else who thinks about it, or maybe this is your first time hearing about it, it becomes unsettling the more you think about it. And that's what I want to provide, a place where you can choose. If you choose to allow that to happen, great. If you choose to become a customer of Niched so that you aren't tracked and you don't have ads or, whatever we come up with down the road, that's great too. But the point is to give autonomy back to you, to put your own privacy back into your own hands. How many times have you seen a video and it gets you excited about something you forgot that you were passionate about? Or you see a blog post or, something shared online and you're like, oh man, I haven't thought about that in months. Or you see your favorite YouTuber that hasn't come across your feed in maybe over a year. This happens to me frequently. The algorithm gets it wrong all the time. It gets it wrong way more than it gets it right. And by wrong, what I mean is it gives us information and things that we just aren't as passionate about as other things. And part of the reason for that is there's no feedback mechanism. Part of the reason for that is that we're just not in control. Online in social media, they're trying to keep us consumers. They want us locked to the screen. Because as long as we're locked to the screen, there's a little ticker going up and up and up. Maybe it's micro percentages of pennies that they're getting, but for every second we spend online, they make some money because there's an ad that's about to come across the feed. And they don't care that it might not be good for us. They don't care that we just are turning into consumers. They care that, we are doing what they want, which is increasing the bottom line for their investors because those are the people they have to answer to. So to me, that's not a healthy place to be. Niched is focused on something completely different. I don't want you to be a consumer. I mean, I'd love for you to be a consumer of Niched, but I don't want you to be a consumer of information and data. I want you to be a doer of your passions. So in order for you to spend less time online, I want to put functionality in place that allows you to decide what you see and when you see it so that you are more quickly connected to the things that you're passionate about. So hopefully it gets you energized and excited to go do those things, and you never miss out on something that you once were passionate about that you then maybe forgot about because it didn't come across your feed. Because when I subscribe to something or follow someone, I expect to see them in my feed daily. And I know that that's not the case because there's been plenty of times, like I said a minute ago, where I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. He makes really cool videos. So Niched is all about you being in the driver's seat so that you can spend less time online and you can actually be out in the real world, experiencing life, doing what you're passionate about. Gatekeepers are another part of the online ecosystem that make social interactions seem so fake. In the real world, we can ask questions of the person sitting next to us and have an honest reply from them, or maybe a gauged response from them at the very least. But there's no one sitting there saying, hey, you can't ask that question. Hey, I'm taking down this post because it doesn't comply with our guidelines of conversation. And we didn't socially set up humanity in this way. We, being humans, didn't socially organize ourselves in a way where we have gatekeepers all over the place telling us what we can and cannot talk about or interact with, or what hobbies we can and cannot have. For the most part, individuals have autonomy over their desires and their passions and what they want to do. But online, it's a lot different. We don't have that same level of individuality online. We're kind of forced down paths and into chutes and into categories so that there can be a profit at the end of the day. And if you followed my channel for any length of time, you know I am not against profit. I'm not anti-capitalist or anything like that. But I do believe there's an ethical way to treat your customer. The little mom and pop shop down the street doesn't have all this data coming in so that when you walk through the door, finally, they can make a sale for you immediately. Most local stores and establishments don't have some big bouncer at the door saying you can or cannot enter based on your ideology or the things you talk about or the things you post. Most people want to capture the money that you have in your pocket to hopefully engage you in one of your passions and your interests so that they create a long-term customer out of you. So most retailers and most people who are trying to sell things out there, which every business operates around selling something, are trying to capture your attention, but in a more ethical way on a one-on-one type of basis. Online, there's gatekeepers in many forms in terms of moderators and shadow gatekeepers working for the company potentially, algorithms, among other things. You know, there's legions of people willing to come behind certain ideologies and tell you, oh, you can't talk about those things, or you can't be passionate about that topic. And the same people then tell you it's okay to be passionate about other things that people disagree with. And my point isn't necessarily that we should all disagree all the time, but my point is that we should have the freedom and the latitude to be able to engage in things that we are passionate about without the fear of reprisal. Because how else can we learn other than asking questions to have a better understanding of a topic, whether that be charged in nature or not? If you don't know how to play volleyball, you have to learn the rules of volleyball. If you don't know if you're conservative or liberal, you have to learn the rules of both sides and ask questions before you decide where you land on those topics. So Niched is all about free speech, not putting gatekeepers in the way of you getting to the things that you're passionate about or learning about or interested in. Niched is about you first and getting you in the driver's seat so that you're able to decide for yourself. Just like we are out here in the real world when we're having conversations or learning about a topic, we get to decide for ourselves if it's something beneficial or not to us. And that's what Niched aims to do. We aim to put you in the driver's seat so that you have full control, so that the only gatekeeper is you. Just like we do every single day, our only gatekeeper is ourselves. And that's my vision for online. That's how I believe it should be online. That's the ethical way to deal with individuals so that you get to choose and you get to decide. This video is sponsored by Niched, so I'm sponsoring this video. I want to take a minute to just tell you a little bit more about what the platform is. Niched is the world's first human interaction platform, and you might be saying, what does that mean? Well, it's pretty much anti-social media. So we took everything that people don't like about social media and we just removed it. Algorithms, gatekeepers, you know, the sense that we can't get the information that we want when we want it. And instead, I did what we did as society in the real world, and I put you in control. I'm giving you the functionality to curate your feed in the way that you want it to be. And in the future, there's going to be more functionality so that you can have custom feeds and that you can schedule different times a day to see different types of content. So ideally, you can hop online, get what you're looking for, get that dopamine hit, and then get out into the real world and be a doer of what you love instead of just a consumer of what you love. Look, if any of that resonates with you, please, I ask you to resistthealgorithm.com and you can learn all about what Niched is aiming to do. Join the movement, subscribe, do those types of things, you know, what everybody else asks you to do. But I just want to take a moment too and thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Without you guys, Niched would be nothing. So thanks for being here. We've all been there before where we just keep scrolling and we know we should be done for the day or done for that moment. And it just doesn't happen because it's so easy and natural to just flick our thumbs up and be in that environment. You know, maybe you're doing this right now. You're just flicking by and, you know, you're not really getting a whole lot of enjoyment out of it. It's just kind of mindless. You know, the more you do that, the microseconds you spend to stop on each video or each post is being tracked by algorithms online to know what they should serve you better. So not that you are satisfied, but so that they can keep you more engaged in the app for longer. So they can keep you scrolling, so they can keep you in front of their version of the screen that they've deemed is best for you. You know, it doesn't put the human first. It doesn't put the individual at the center of it. It goes against design conventions of user experience. And it's just a psychological ploy to get us to engage so that they can make more money. So at the end of the day, their investors can be satisfied. So where are we in that story? Where are we along the lines of what they are choosing to do? What role do we play? Well, for me, my conclusion is the role that we play is as cattle and as the product. And I think that's pretty clear. So Niche wants to do something completely different. We don't want you to be the product. I want you to have the ability to become a customer. You know, if you choose to be a product, that's up to you. But so much of it is hidden behind EULAs and, you know, different types of programmatic schemes that you don't know it's even happening. So we need to resist the algorithm and the manipulation that is there. And that's part of what my message is all about. You know, resistthealgorithm.com. We need a place that supports this idea. We need a place online that supports us in being doers instead of consumers, that helps us to get the things that we want, that puts us first, the individual, and not some investor advertiser that's actually in control of how the company treats the users on the platforms. You know, oftentimes I feel that being connected feels like a chore. It's like months might go by and you think, oh, forgot to reach out to that friend on social media or give them a call or whatever it happens to be. And it turns into something where I oftentimes will put it off because, you know, it's embarrassing in my mind. Where in most situations, when a friend that I haven't talked to for a long time calls me, I think, oh man, it's really great to hear from them. And the point of me bringing all this up is oftentimes we either choose to be in control of our lives or we choose not to be in control of our lives. And too often when we choose not to be in control, things just keep happening the same way that they do. One of my rules personally is if it takes 5 minutes to do, I take care of it right then and there. Or another one of my rules is if I see a problem in my own personal life, I'm uniquely qualified to fix it, whether that be for myself, for my wife, for my kids, for my extended family, my friends. If I see something that is a problem, I have a responsibility to do something about it. So I take control of my real life. Most of us do these things naturally every day. We have goals and things that we aspire to complete and places that we want to go and things we want to save up for. And we take control and we take charge. Every one of us can think of something where we are taking charge today. And it's not easy, but it's even less easy, I feel, online when we are pushed down these chutes and these paths that we have to go down. We're required to see things. Most of us, I feel, hop online to get a break from the real world. And too often it turns into a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour doom scroll before we find the thing that we were looking for a dopamine. Now, I get that it's tough because a lot of times we don't even know what we're looking for. But we do have certain passions of things that always get us excited. If I see a cool video of a skier or a snowboarder going down an awesome trail that I've never seen before, I want to go do that thing. Now, unfortunately, that's a winter sport, and I can only do it for a few months out of the year. It's my favorite thing to do in the world. But it keeps me engaged in those things. I have other things that I'm passionate about. Too often, I just see more of the last video that I just watched. And sometimes it was a one-off video, you know, how to change a part out in my car or how to fix my oven light or something like that. And then I see 800 videos of, you know, oven lights and other appliance fixing things, which may or may not be an interest of mine. Uniched, We put the customization and the functionality into your hands so that you get to decide and take control of your online environment. You get to be in the driver's seat. You essentially get to do what the algorithm does for us now. You get to choose what paths you go down by liking and following things, something we're very used to and familiar with, but by then also doing other things as well, like creating custom feeds and scheduling those feeds for different times throughout the day. Now, not all of this is built out, but this is part of my vision and my passion for the future of online interactions and social communities online. What if platforms were designed in a way that actually helped us belong? What if they were created to cater to our wants and our desires and our needs? What if we had more control over them? These are all things that I've thought about over the years, and I think the world would probably be a better place if we were able to decide how we consumed media and how we created relationships online and how those spilled over into the real world. On social media and other types of platforms and sites, we don't get a whole lot of autonomy. We don't get a whole lot of decisions to actually make. The real decision is which social media app we decide to open up. The real decision is if we choose to scroll or not to scroll. It's not just social media. It happens on streaming services and it happens on regular websites. There's all sorts of things tracking what we do, and Niched isn't about that. I think we need a place online that looks a lot more like the real world, that socially is organized a lot more like the real world, where we get to choose what topics we talk about and engage with and which ones we don't. When we're in groups, we do this all the time. We get to choose what we engage with and what we don't engage with. We get to actually drive the conversation and the information that we talk about. And we also go to clubs and groups that are specifically about certain topics so that we can get to engage with those things on a regular basis. And we do not have that online. So I think we need a space. We need different types of platforms. I hope more come along in the future that have a similar ideology, that engage in these ideas of human interaction platforms and ethical technology and digital morality and all those sorts of things. And I hope that you are inspired by this and you come along for the ride. I know that I want a place that doesn't constantly suck me in, like I get into quicksand and then all of a sudden I spent hours on that platform. I want a place that gives me the information I want, gets me to the things that I'm passionate about, and then that tank gets filled up so that I can go out and do those things. And I think Niched is the solution to that. I believe that there needs to be a change. Social media companies, platforms, big tech companies that are out there, they don't treat us ethically online. They see us as a commodity, as cattle to be raised and sold and to keep our attention. And the problem is everything I've outlined in this video. They don't consider human interaction first or the user experience. They don't consider privacy or autonomy until it becomes a legal issue for them. They want to keep us in these consumer-minded loops by putting gatekeepers in place that keep us going down the path that they've already have us down, and algorithms to track what we do and what we see and what's okay and not okay to say. And, we need to find a way to take control and take charge. Now, that could be simply just saying we're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to use it. We could be Luddites and get rid of technology in our lives and never take a look back. But most of us, that's not an option. I like the technology that is in this world. I like the fact that I have cold food and I can freeze meat to cook at a later date. And I don't have to worry about diseases that are in the world. So I don't believe that technology is the problem. I don't believe the inanimate thing is the problem. It's how human beings apply their ideas and their ideologies to that technology. We need a new way forward. I don't think social media companies and these big platforms have a way to get back on the right path. So I think we need to create a new environment where we can have a better community and a community where we are in control. And I think that answer is Niched. That's why I've gone down this path to create this type of option for everyone. So Niched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it's totally within your control. Hey, if you like this video, could you do me a huge favor? Could you do all the things that you're supposed to do? It really helps out. I know I'm talking about resisting the algorithm and everything, but it does help out. And I think a lot of people would be interested in this type of content. And if you want to learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com and you can learn all about Niched and what it's about and the beta that it's in right now. There's some great things coming down the pipeline this year. And I just want to say I really appreciate you being here till the end. You're one of the people who is clearly passionate about this topic. So I appreciate you being here. It means the world to me. Till then, I'm Ryan. I'll see you guys next time.